Hey everyone, it's Neil, and this is the Big Bad Movie Show. And this week it's very special because I am watching Project Aiko, a anime that I really love. This is one of my favorite movies ever, and you can watch the movie along with me if you happen to have a physical or digital copy. And even if you don't, it's right here on YouTube, so you can go track it down and sync it up, and we can have some fun. So, what's going to happen is we need to be paused at 0, and I'll count down from 5, and then we'll watch this thing. So, get ready, because here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. All right, and this is actually a do-over, because I did a version of this commentary before where I talked about how this movie inspired me as a graphic artist and comic writer, and I did that for about an hour, and that's the exact opposite of what this is supposed to be. This isn't like me talking about myself and then sprinkling in the movie commentary. This is supposed to be a commentary about the movies, especially this one, because this is Project fucking Aiko, baby, right there. And you did hear right. This is one of my favorite movies ever. And what I think I'm going to do is I'll hold on to the other commentary, the alternate Aiko commentary. And if you guys like my commentaries and want me to keep doing them, what I'll do is I'll probably set up a Patreon account, and then I'll offer bonus content, and among that will be the alternate Aiko commentary, and I'll probably do exclusive commentaries for that as well, like maybe one a month, and maybe I can do like shorter subjects like OVA episodes of anime and TV episodes of certain programs, stuff like that. We'll see how this goes, though. I mean, that's way off in the future. I mean, I don't want to get too excited. I mean, we're just getting started here. So, yeah, Project Aiko. Well, if you're listening to this, you probably also listened to my Venus Wars commentary, and in there I talked about how my buddies and I would go to the local Blockbuster and just find all of these weird anime films. They were usually like horror and sci-fi, because back in those days, anime was very different. It's not like today where we understand that this is all part of Japanese culture, and we watch a large variety of things. No, back in those days, the anime that was picked for localization was mostly stuff that could be palatable to a Western audience at that time that wasn't experienced with anime at all. And so that's why this is the stuff that would normally get localized. And right here, the body count of this movie is already in the hundreds of thousands. A whole bunch of people just died there. And this movie is already awesome because the synth music just kicked in. And the music in this movie is incredible. I mean, listen to that garbage. That's awesome. And like I said last time, I am the cat with the laser pointer fixation. So I love these high contrast panels, these scenes where there's large black areas, and they're punctuated by the incandescent lights that are probably light sources outside of the camera range, or maybe even behind the background layer. Like they may have put in like a translucent screen and shined a light through it so that it gets that saturation effect. I love all the simple but elegant special effects that they have in these old anime. Now this is cool coming up here, how there's a city built into the crater from the beginning of the movie. And it looks like Manhattan. It has that very contemporary modern look to it. But there's that giant spire in the middle that's a futuristic skyscraper. Looks like something out of Blade Runner or something like that. And the surrounding city uh, built on the walls of the crater. That's awesome. Now, the tone of this movie is all over the place. I mean, it's comedy, it's action, it's all sorts of things. And as I understand it, was actually supposed to be a porno. There was a lot more. There are actually vestiges of that. Like right here, there's an alternate version of that scene where her blouse is see-through. And you will see boobs in this anime. And there are other goofy things about this movie. I mean, copyright is kind of loose. There are unauthorized cameos from other properties in this. One in particular is very transparent. And this is a theme. Oh, wait, topless. Those boobs are hanging out there, aren't they? You people watching this, you should be ashamed of yourself for watching this movie. Nah, I'm just fucking with you. I I don't care. I mean, you're in good company. You don't need to be ashamed around me. I'm your buddy. You know I'm not like that. This is Seiko. She is insufferable. She is the worst character in this movie. She is the worst Project Echo character in the entire franchise. Because she's the whiny, crying, pouting, shrieking waste of oxygen that is the subject to not one but two plots in this movie, the A and B story. That she happens to be the long-lost princess of an alien civilization that is going to be coming for her later in this movie. And she's also the object of desire of two girls in a rivalry in this movie for her affection. And it's kind of one of those, are they or aren't they? Because there seems to be a lesbian subtext of this movie. But it's, at different times, it's both confirmed and refuted by different scenes. Like I said, tonally, this movie is all over the place. Now this character, this poor character, this schlub, just gets trampled throughout the first half of this movie by Eiko. Because you see, Eiko has superpowers. She is basically, technically a superhero, I guess. But they're never really addressed in this movie. There is no origin story for Eiko, which is refreshing because I'm so sick of origin stories for superheroes. And I wish Hollywood would take note of that. That you can tell a story about a superhero without going back to the alien planet from which they came, or having their parents knocked off, or having a radioactive spider bite them, or anything like that. You can just jump in and tell the story. And here's Biko. Biko is wonderful. And you will understand as the movie continues on. And Seiko is not. Seiko is awful. And I don't really know anyone in the Project Echo fanbase that loves Seiko. She's pretty much universally reviled. It's like we just put up with her because this movie is so awesome. I mean, that's how great this movie is, that we're willing to put up with Seiko. By the way, you've probably noticed the naming scheme here: Aiko, Biko, and Siko. Yeah, it gets ridiculous. Oh, shut up. And Biko, for some reason, is instantly obsessed with her. This teacher is very oblivious to things going on around her. Like, later in this movie, things will be blowing up and getting destroyed, and she doesn't seem to know what's going on. And I've had teachers like that. I've slept through a couple classes in high school, and I have no idea how I even passed them. Brain dead teachers I had back then. I love that the girls who are out for gym are playing with mechs and rocket packs and shit like that. Already you can tell that this is a totally fucked up movie. It's not going to be your typical schoolgirl anime. This is going to be something really, really special. But not when Biko's on screen. Seiko seems to be a joke on the audience, like an Andy Kaufman joke, that it's the movie just poking us in the eye to see how long we'll sit here and take it. Because it knows that we won't turn it off because it's a good movie. Okay, I'm going to do kind of a condensed version of what I did in the original commentary. I am, of course, the author of Dasien, the superhero webcomic, and a lot of the subjects in Dasien originate in this movie. I mean, the superhero girl who's got a normal best friend who may or may not be a love interest. The the villain, that's an interesting thing because originally the villain of Dasien was going to be Goldie, who's kind of this incompetent girl who is jealous of Dasien and wishes to get the better of her for one reason or another, and that ended up not happening. And in some ways, I wish it did. I wish I had done an arc with Goldie instead of just kicking her to the side and replacing her with Lord Crimson. You know, Lord Crimson basically Vegeta'd his way into Dasien and became the primary antagonist of the first arc. And then there's a more recent character named Paladie, and Paladie is my return to Project Eiko because Paladie even kind of looks like Eiko. And she's got the Genki Girl thing going for her. Of course, Eiko is the ultimate Genki Girl anime character. Very hyperactive, very energetic, and athletic, and just the bundle of joy that in the movie. And that's what the Genki Girl is. Plus, my style has kind of moved away from this a little bit so that the characters don't really work in the way that the Eiko characters do. But Paladie, who is a parody, if you will, of this sort of thing, she can kind of fall back into the Eiko style and do all the goofy things that Parker and Dasien cannot do. Just be wacky and anime-like. And she follows other tropes like Paladie is a bit like all-purpose cultural cat girl Nuku Nuku, and she's wearing Kagome's Fuku from Inuyasha. You know, the sailor suit. Biko is the queen bee of the high school girls here. She's the most popular girl in school. She's in another anime she would be like the queen of the prom, the object of desire for all the boys. She is she is the girl that all the other girls are jealous of, but they also want to be her friend. So they all follow her like a bunch of soldiers. And Aiko is really the Dudley Do Right of the series. She's the most vanilla character in this movie, but she's also funny because she's got moments like this where she's just very nonchalant about her power. She just lifts a desk over her head and one under her arm, and doesn't see anything abnormal about herself. She doesn't see that this is strange to other people who just stare at her because she's doing all these amazing things. This is such a strange premise because, again, it's not really clear if there's romantic interest in Siko or if this is just a jealousy story over friendship. At different times, it seems to be both. I mean, there are all sorts of theories. Like, sometimes I wonder if Siko is the only one that has any romantic interest, and the other two are just more interested in friendship. But then tonally, that's very awkward because it really seems like they're competing for her love, and Siko doesn't understand what they want. Now, this character Mari is blatantly Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star in a dress, and does all the animations that you would associate with Fist of the North Star. My buddies and I actually did rent a Fist of the North Star VHS at one point, but I think it was one of those compilation movies, you know, the ones that are a bunch of individual episodes strung together and cut down and basically nonsensical. They did that with a few other anime around the time because it wasn't really lucrative to market an entire series exclusively to VHS. So you had to, if you were going to do the TV series, you had to kind of condense it down and release something a little more palatable. Because, well, there was, of course. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. Look at this animation coming up here. Her running, how she gets really close to the camera and speeds by. There's a lot of that focal length distortion. You know how if you put your arm up to a camera, it seems to distort because you're that close to the camera that the focal length makes everything closer look huge. There's a lot of that in this movie, and it's all awesome. Oh, right there, that's straight out of Fist of the North Star. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Japanese track had her saying "you're already dead" or something like that. And I think Streamline Pictures had done a couple episodes of Lupin the Third and just released it released those on their own and not anything else from the series. And again, it's whatever would have worked at the time. I mean, that was back when Terminator 2 had just come out, and I don't know I don't know how close in proximity it was to Aliens, but no, Aliens would have been earlier than that. I'm sorry. The carnage caused by this girl. But yeah, anime was basically just catered to the tastes of the West at that time. And, it was kind of a niche product to begin with. So you didn't want to be Slayers where you had this really long, epic storyline that you were releasing 2 episodes at a time on VHS. I mean, fuck that shit. Topless. Another topless scene. And this time it's Siko. Or Biko. Now listen to what she's saying. Listen to this song. How this clearly has romantic overtones to it. Like she's interested in Siko romantically. I mean, does this sound like it's just jealousy over friendship? And like I said, the tone of this is such that it gets contradicted a whole bunch of times. Like in the third movie, the third Project Echo movie, that's when Eiko and Biko become kind of boy crazy, and that's really upsetting to Siko. I mean, that's where the theory comes from that maybe Siko is the only one who's interested in romance, and the other two are maybe a little more oblivious to it. And the whole first part of this movie is just this lovey-dovey crap mixed with poor D here getting trampled by Eiko every day. Did she bang her head against the glass there? I really love the facial expressions in this movie. There are lots of wild takes in this movie that are really funny, and that's something else that I really love doing in comics is doing funny facial expressions and actually just using facial expressions for uh, for purposes of communicating to the audience. Just because you know I find it more interesting to just have the facial expressions speak for the characters and not just load it up with dialogue. Because I hate walls of text in comics. I love how unrefined Eiko is. How she's the opposite of Biko. She's not glamorous at all. She's maybe even a little bit feral. She's unsophisticated, has 2 left feet, and we're just gonna hang on this frame, aren't we? Welcome to the '80s. Wait, no, no, don't cry. Don't. Oh, good. Bad trope averted, for once. The lightheartedness of this movie, how gentle it is, with this soundtrack even. Now, all the songs in this movie are sung by an American singer. They actually contracted someone from America to do the songs, which adds to the cheesiness of the dub. Which I am watching the dub, by the way, because I love the cheesiness of it. There are people out there, I call them sub snobs, because they're the people who are like, oh, if you're watching anime with the dub track, you're doing it wrong. And I think that's really elitist and unfair. And I think it alienates a lot of would-be fans who may just want to be more casual in their experience and not feel that watching anime is a homework assignment, because that really bugs me. I'll tell you that's bullshit. You can watch anime any way you want. If you want to watch it subtitled, fine. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to silently judge you with my eyes. No, I'm just kidding around. But don't if you like watching anime with the dub track, don't let anyone shame you for it, because that's just elitist bullshit. It's gatekeeping, and we need to demote the gatekeepers. Their unwarranted position, like they're like it's their job to maintain the dignity of anime by shunning the dub. This voiceover is kind of acknowledging the other plot, which is that the aliens are coming, and they took out a satellite of some sort on their way to Earth. A space station, whatever you want to call it. Oh, coming up here is another contribution to my theory that maybe Seiko is the only one romantically interested in anybody. See, there's another interest where Eiko is kind of oblivious to how she's extraordinary, and her powers are unusual. She just doesn't seem to understand that. Now, I said earlier that there's no origin to her powers, but that's actually not true. There is an origin story, sort of, but it's not in this movie, really. It's more in the manga. The manga kind of spells it out for you, and not necessarily the movie. I mean, the movie kind of lampshades it a little, but for reasons that should become apparent later on, they have to tiptoe around it. But it really made for an interesting non sequitur, because it makes Eiko seem like she's the alien. Like maybe she's got powers that come from being a person from a different world, another planet. So that made me think that maybe the aliens are after Eiko. And I think they even play with that theme here, because it seems like they might be after Eiko during these conversations where D is talking to the captain here. And even after they took Seiko away, I still thought that they were making a huge mistake, and it was Eiko they should be after. But the true origin of her powers it really refutes that. It's not possible. The technology in this movie, she's watching standard definition in a futuristic time. I mean, she's watching this in 240p. You'll see as she zooms in, that's super low res. it's kind of funny going back to old TV shows and movies and seeing technology that should be a lot more sophisticated for movies that take place in the future. I talked about how funny the Jetsons are, how they treat vacuum tubes like they're the wave of the future, and everything's going to be running on vacuum tubes and cogs and everything. And it really should be about uh, you know, microchips that can change their configuration to mimic technology like a gate array, one of those you know what I'm talking about, the FPGAs and things like that. And I put something on social media several I think a few years ago about how our phones are actually cooler than Penny's computer from Inspector Gadget. Like, we're basically walking around with mini computers in our pocket, and we used to think that Penny's notebook was awesome. And I remember thinking we were never going to have anything that cool, and now, you know, I have a tablet that I can play like 8 different gaming systems on. And we can watch television shows and movies on our phones and all this wacky shit. And I may have talked over this, but D has a phone that's really, really archaic. I'll point it out later. It shows up again. Kind of a weird flashback how it's done in like child drawings. Yeah, if you think of Aiko as being the super powered character, uh, Biko is more the cerebral character. She's like Lex Luthor. She matches the brawn of Aiko with with her brains. Yeah, again, the acting is kind of stilted and corny, but I think it works. I like this dub, even though it is super cheesy and maybe not the best work of these particular actors, or maybe not even the best actors available at the time for Central Park Media, who is that company is sadly no longer in business. Sad to say. By the way, the sequels, all 3 sequels have a different cast. All these girls sound way different in the 3 movies that come afterward, and the OVA. I like the sequels, but they're nothing like this movie. They're not anywhere near as wacky. And the that OVA series, I'd only gotten the first half on VHS, and I was really disappointed in it. I think it was called uh, Project Aiko A Side or something like that, or Gray Side, and then the sequel was Blue Side, and Gray Side wasn't very good, but Blue Side actually turned out to be a much better episode. I love how annoyed Biko looks in this scene right here. Yeah, the second OVA actually makes it worth it. I missed it for several years and finally saw it when it came out on DVD, and I was able to grab the whole set. Of course, there was Central Park Media had put out a box set of Project Aiko, like all 4 movies and the OVA together, all in one package, and it was fantastic. It's what I'm watching right now. Something I never understood about Central Park Media is that they had this sort of division, I guess you could say, that was called U.S. Manga Corps. And I don't know why this was the case. I thought maybe it was like to differentiate their action cartoons from other properties, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I've never seen a Central Park Media, well, anything that didn't have the U.S. Manga Corps branding. Like, it reminds me of TNA and Impact Wrestling having two different brandings. It's like, which one is it? Make up your fucking mind. Are you Impact or are you TNA? Are you Central Park Media or are you Manga Corps? And what made it worse is that there was another company called Manga Entertainment. And yes, we did get it confused from time to time. That's a lovely position that she's drawn in right there. Jeez. Oh, poor D. So I don't think I've explained D's secret just yet. You may notice that I'm avoiding certain words in talking about D because there's something that isn't what it seems about that particular character. Okay, this is the beginning of the very brief second act of the movie. The the typical three-act structure of any story. First part is where you set everything up. The second part is where things kind of go to hell, and then the third part is the resolution. Well, this movie doesn't really have that act structure per se. The first act is very much in line with the normal pattern, but the second act is just this battle of wits between these two characters, Eiko and Biko, and actually more of a battle of attrition between the two. You know, Biko trying to defeat Eiko, and Eiko actually not having much effort at all, not having to expend much effort to defeat Biko and her silly giant robots. I talked about the cheating that is very indicative of anime, how you could have a lot of scenes where nothing is moving at all. And that's kind of the secret, where you have like really slickly drawn pictures where nothing's really happening. Like right here. It's like nothing's moving. And that's how they kind of get around some deadlines, I think. Because this had to be, I love that walk cycle. This had to be a very intense anime to produce. I mean, I've heard stories about how animators in Japan sometimes they don't even go home. They sleep under their desks. They make themselves sick. They have ulcers, worrying about deadlines. They really a miserable experience, and the payoff is that they make wonderful features like this. And I hope it's worth it for them, because if you worked on this anime, I want you to know that I love it, and your efforts are much appreciated. But seriously, who writes shit like this? This is strange even by anime standards. I mean, remember, this is just a schoolyard rivalry, and they're fighting with robots. Giant mechs. And this movie is just super. God. I mean, look how happy she is. Look how much joy is in this this run cycle that they had going there. I like the little flip that she did in the air when she came bouncing off the wall. Let's see what D looks like today. Hey, look at that phone. That is one archaic phone. I don't remember the last time I saw a phone look like that. Well, it's got a GPS in it, so that's something. I'll give it a few points for that. Here's our silly teacher again, who doesn't seem to understand what's going on. I mean, she's the only one who isn't even amazed by Aiko's powers. She just thinks that, Aiko's really athletic. I love these girls. They're like swooning over Aiko coming to school. Really cute drawings. I love how she's supposedly building these overnight. Like she's that proficient in building mechs that she can do that. And this teacher has no idea what's going on. What are these robots doing here? Oh, nothing. Listen, you can finish your girl talk after lunch. The giant mechs, what are they doing here? Oh, nothing. Oh, jeez. The girl who just leaps into frame there for a second to give us the panty shot. That was a lot of effort for that. Once again, we have giant robots, and this is all over getting to school on time. Sometimes I think this movie is just one big parody of superhero comics. How this little tiny girl can throw robots around with leverage that she really doesn't have. But if you think about it, it's the same problem with Superman. It has nothing to do with the fact that she's a girl or anything. Because Superman should not be able to do like 90% of what he does. I mean, it doesn't really matter how strong you are. If you don't have leverage to lift something and throw it, then you can't do it. And that's what I think this anime is kind of making fun of. With Aiko's tiny frame and just wrecking these robots. But it looks cool. Okay, coming up here is what makes this movie awesome. This fight that's coming up. Oh, by the way, back in the Venus Wars, I commented that I think that the actor of Susan Summers is the same as Biko, and I was right. This is Danica Fairman, who is a lovely actress, even though I called her acting cheesy. I hope you still work and don't change a thing. Ah, yes, this costume. This is probably the reason I picked this VHS tape up. Because this is right on the cover, that VHS cover that they released initially. The DVD cover that I have for this really isn't anywhere near as cool. I love that kind of that chase that's on that first cover for the VHS version. And ooh, lovely shot. Thank you, movie. And as the author of Dasien, superhero webcomic, I'm rather fond of staging fight scenes. I love fight scenes. And this fight scene in this movie is something I've tried to live up to for a very long time. And really have not even come close. And part of it is my skill. I know I'm no Adam Warren, and Adam is my hero, by the way. But I think I do a pretty good job nonetheless. I do love the fight scenes, and I do get feedback on them that they're the best thing in the comic. And you know what? I should stop patting myself on the back and talk about the movie. Oh, look at this! There are actual men in this movie. That's something that you may not have noticed. That there really aren't a lot of guys in this flick. This is very female dominated. And it's something that you could easily miss because it's not pointed out to you. It's not beaten over your head. There's no soapboxing about it. Again, speaking as a comic artist, some of my peers are kind of heavy-handed about it and build messages into their comics that are really obnoxious and uh, not as subtle as I like to be because I don't like to soapbox with my comic. I like to just be as gentle as possible and just provide entertainment for whatever readers I happen to have. Um, and that doesn't just go for female characters, also for gay characters and even transgender characters. Although I really don't have any transgender characters unless you count Yuki, who's more like a guest character. But a very key one because Yuki and Dasien are kind of sister sites now. I'm on Montrose now with Sparkling Generation Valkyrie Yuki and my buddy Kitty Hawk. But the way I tackle those subjects is I don't browbeat people who are maybe a little homophobic. I my attitude is I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm just here to make you laugh, make you smile, and I'm going to try to win you over. And I'm going to do it differently than some of my other peers who probably should remain nameless. Uh, One in particular, I'll just say the Blue Bear. That guy's obnoxious. Now, this almost seems like an episode of Macross right here. And none of these characters, don't fall in love with any of these, because they're not long for this world. Oh, listen to that music kick in. I love the soundtrack of this movie. See, it's not quite like a Valkyrie, but it does still evoke the aura of the Valkyrie. So this does sort of feel like a Macross episode right now. Highway to the danger zone. That's not enough to get me content claimed, right? Better not be. I love these nonsense displays they have on the inside of their jets. It's like, what does any of that mean? The flashing lights and the geometric patterns that just kind of flash and blink away. Now I mimic a lot of the Japanese style when I do art, but some things I know probably won't work with a Western audience. Like if you see how explosions are in old anime, like here, where it's just like a bunch of giant orange balls that are supposed to represent explosions. Like they just look like a bunch of cheese balls. And sometimes you'll see like the crescent moon shapes that are also supposed to be explosions. I mean, if I tried doing that in a comic, people would just scratch their head at it like, what the hell is that supposed to be? What's this crescent moon? Why are there all these orange balls floating around? So when you draw like a weeb, you actually have to be kind of conscious of what works and what doesn't work. You have to be cognizant of the way people are going to perceive the art. And that's why I don't like using a lot of the more abstract anime expressions that stuff that has like the giant sweat drop and the like even the nosebleed. You know how characters get turned on. They get very sexually aroused and then it causes their noses to bleed. It's like, first of all, that wouldn't even work. But even so, like that's still really obscure to an American sensibility. It's like, what does that even mean? It's like I don't even presume that most of my audience really understands what that means. So that's the kind of thing I ignore and I don't use that. Okay, back to the movie. See how that kind of looks like a certain scene in Macross? That giant bolt that kind of arced around the orbit of the planet. You're going to see it again here, I think. Oh, maybe not. Okay, and I think they're dead. Yep, stick a fork in them. They're done. The explosion just keeps getting more ridiculous. Yeah, I think they're dead, movie. We can go back to the girls fighting. Now, it's worth noting that the fight scene here actually started about halfway through the movie, and it just dominates the latter half of this film. Now, I might have to get up here and get some more water at some point. I get dry mouth during these because I'm not used to talking for so long. Oh, I love the way the music kicks in here when the action ramps up. How that drum beat starts in. And look at how dynamic this is. How they move toward the camera and away and back again. And I mean, have you ever seen a fight scene like this in any cartoon ever? I mean, it's really easy to just draw the fight scene on a totally flat angle. Like Street Fighter, how they just exist on a horizontal plane and it doesn't really get any more complicated than that. In this, they do the exact opposite. They do these really elaborate shots in this movie, and it's just amazing. And the choreography is awesome, like that wrestling that they were doing like just a few seconds ago. The Akagiyama missiles. I put that in a comic once, a crossover comic several years ago. I love that implied that Aiko ran all the way around the perimeter of the school through the hallway. See, the camera is swinging around them as they're throwing punches at each other. That is really good. And it's not something that a lot of animated features would do. Even theatrical ones would. I mean, you would never see this. And this is just getting started too. I mean, look at the choreography. How there's like rhyme and reason to some of these moves. And I love Aiko's ideas that she's going to move the fight away from the school, but it just gets worse. Again, this teacher is totally oblivious to everything else going on. The half the school just got wrecked, and she's still teaching a class. It's like, does nobody hear any of that going on? Oh, what happened to old-fashioned discipline? She kind of has a Minnesota accent at certain points in this movie. That would have been funnier if they just went with that totally. Like, oh, don't you know? Those girls. This ridiculous contraption. See, look at all the property damage they're doing. And still we're doing the really slick animation where they're really moving around the camera. And these two battles that are going on, the Earth Defense Force taking on the aliens, and Aiko and Biko's fight in the city, they're about to collide in a really epic fashion. Oh, this movie's just flying by too. I commented before how if you're watching a really awful movie, it could be like an hour in length, and it'll just seem like it drags. But if you're watching something you really love, it just seems to zip right on by. This is what? It's like 90 minutes? Yeah, and I think there's less than a half hour to go. This is about to become very Independence Day. The giant ship that's about to totally eclipse the footprint of the city. Jesus Christ. This whole movie is fucking overkill. I mean, that looked like Spaceball 1. And this was before Independence Day. So Independence Day may have ripped this off. I don't really think so. I don't think they saw this movie. This movie is still kind of obscure as far as anime goes, but it has a very, very dedicated following. And with good reason. I don't meet many people that know what Project Echo is, but when I do meet someone who knows of this movie, I get the knowing nod, like, yeah, this is one of the greats. I'm just trying to imagine what some of you younger people are thinking watching this movie. Probably like, what the hell am I even watching? What is this shit, right? This is one of your favorite movies? This is what you used to watch? What the hell is wrong with you, Neil? I don't care. This was good shit back in the day. Just the the total destruction that happens in this movie. Oh gee, the spider droids are coming out here. Somewhere a young John Peters is watching this film and getting ideas. So yeah, you really don't see a lot of men in this movie. It's a very female dominated movie. Uh, really doesn't call attention to itself. It just works, and you can just turn your brain off and enjoy it. And it doesn't need to have an agenda behind it. It doesn't need to browbeat people who may be more accustomed to more traditional media where the male is the hero. This is the sort of movie that could win them over and do so without really putting up a fight. In fact, I think Amy Pascal ought to watch this movie. Take some notes. Stiletto leap. Do these two even understand that there's a war going on around them? They seem to be using these tanks and mechs to attack each other and are just totally oblivious that there's an invasion happening. Oh, well, that was fun while it lasted. Now Seiko's back in the movie, back to ruin the awesomeness. Actually, not really. This is just a very brief, very brief pause in the action. It will return to being wacky here in a second. She's being captured and she's worried about the lunch. Now, can Aiko take on an entire alien army by herself? The answer is yes. With a little help from Biko, though. Oh god, just take her. I think she's even worse in the Japanese. Another reason to stick with the English dub. Very reminiscent of the Zentradi ship bearing down on Macross City. Lovely shot. Oh. Oh, of course. Welcome to the 80s. Mm. Nobody who is a background character in this film will survive. They're all expendable. If you're a grunt, you might as well be a red shirt in Star Trek. Because you are all disposable heroes. Okay, if you're not watching this movie with me, Aiko is now running toward the spaceship. And if you don't know how she's doing that, well, let me tell you. She's leaping from missile to missile as they're being fired at her. So she's using the missiles as steps up to the spaceship. Because this movie is ridiculous and will do anything it can to top itself. Love the trench run there. That was pretty cool. Oh, Seiko's silent now. At last, finally. Oh, the captain is a total drunk. I mean, you've seen the captain drinking throughout the movie, but right about here is where it becomes apparent that there's a problem. That she doesn't know how to put the bottle down. I think I just spoiled it by calling her she. So this alien race is entirely matriarchal. They are all women, including Dee, the very masculine one who captured Seiko just a few moments ago. Well, right here it should be fairly obvious that these are all women. All these soldiers are very feminine. And here's your confirmation because now Dee is decked out in the warrior bikini garb, which, considering the way gender and character tropes are discussed today, I often wonder what people would have to say about that. That you have a character like that who is not very sexualized in body type, but still has that sort of bikini armor that you would normally put on a character who's designed more like Biko here. Where is she keeping those? In her boots, I guess. She doesn't have any pockets anywhere else. Nowhere that could plausibly be a compartment. Drugged! I hope this woman is still working. She got tired from crying. Humble bragging. Hmm. Jesus Christ. She kicked down a steel door from its hinge. It's like a bank vault door. I mean, Aiko basically is a tank. She doesn't ever get hurt. Ooh. This scene. It's not merely that it's women's clothes. Oh, look at that gross brown colored stink wave that came out of there. It's not merely that those were women's clothes. It was all underwear. I mean, I guess that's where they do all their whites and everything else is cleaned elsewhere. Still, that was really gross. Now I'm just watching the movie. Oh, that's another one of those cheats. How those are just two cells that they're sliding against each other. Nothing in that shot was moving. But then they'll do shots like that where she leaps for the sword. That was pretty awesome. The unfortunate aspect of this movie is that it sets your expectations so high that you think all anime is going to be like this. I mean, I was so excited when I first saw this. I'm like, I'm going to buy more. This is all going to be awesome. And there's nothing else really like this. I mean, there's good anime from this era, but there's nothing. If you want to find another anime that has such spectacular fight scenes, you're not going to really find anything. Especially not that Dragon Ball Z crap that all you kids like. I mean, you can just fuck off with that power leveling shit and shouting at each other and just time wasting that goes on in that show. Yeah, I'm just kind of fucking around. I like Dragon Ball Z, but definitely nothing like this. What men? See, now the it's rather apparent that the captain is a total lush. And Biko and Siko just kind of Deus Ex themselves into this scene. Looking for the exit, they just kind of show up here. Was she offended that the captain was drunk? Like the dastardly heel she is, Biko turns on Eiko the first chance she gets. And remember, this all started with a rivalry at high school. I just fucking love this movie. This is probably my favorite anime movie of all time. I know some people out there, they love their Akira and they love their Ghost in the Shell. And I'm just bored to tears with those movies. I mean, I like Akira to a certain extent, but there are better movies. this one, Raujin Z. I'll even throw Venus Wars in that into the pile. Yeah, I definitely want to do more anime films, but I'm gonna space them out because I don't want to cater to just one audience. I know most of my audience is probably gonna want to watch some, some normal comedy films with me. Stuff like some Zucker Brothers films and Mel Brooks movies and stuff like that. Harold Ramis. In fact, I would like to do the Harold Ramis and Bill Murray trilogy, which is Stripes, Ghostbusters, and Caddyshack. Hmm. And I guess I guess Groundhog Day kind of fits in there as well, but I'd like to save that one for a different theme. And I'm gonna be I definitely want to pick out some Andy Sedaris films. I want to watch some bad movies, some movies that are the movies that are so bad they're good. Like Street Fighter and stuff like that. She just realized that there's something going on here. She's been teaching class this whole time while there's been this huge battle over the city, and Biko is just wiped out there. That's hilarious. And the movie's winding down now. That just flew by. And I may do the Eiko sequels, but I'm not gonna prioritize them. I think there are better movies to do than those other three. I mean, when the top priority picks kind of wind down, then I'll look back at the Eiko movies and see if they're worth doing. And they're much shorter. I can probably do them in one go. Like they're each an hour in length. Which is even so, that's still shorter than some Peter Jackson films. And his money cushions him from that criticism, by the way. Oh, do you see that? Superman shirt with a C for Clark. Her parents are Superman and Wonder Woman. Yes, really. Oh, go away, Seiko. You terrible, terrible waste of flesh. I don't think the load capacity of that building should be holding that up. You're asking a lot from me for that suspension of disbelief movie. It's a good thing you're playing this awesome song right now. Now this is a weird shot. Look, both of them are running past the scooter. Seiko should not be running that fast. Yeah. Oh, I love this movie. And that was Project Echo. A very fucked up but very enjoyable movie. And no, a lot of people agree with me on that. Sean Boyer, I talked to him earlier, just earlier today actually, he brought this movie up. And I told him this was on the docket. I probably should have invited him. But, oh well. What's done is done. And this one is definitely done. Stick a fork in this movie. I mean, is there anything that's not awesome about this movie? The fight scenes, the space battles, the stupid romantic triangle that may or may not be actual romance. Okay, there's one thing that's not awesome about this movie, and it's Seiko. But we can overlook that because this movie is Project Echo, the best anime ever. Oh, well, that was really fun. I hope you guys out there, gals too, I hope you enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed watching it again. You know, I watch it every once in a while. Like if a couple years go by, I'll pop it in and watch it again. It's a movie that really flies by, just because of how silly and awesome it is. And it's only 10 minutes shorter than Venus Wars, and it felt like it felt like it was on turbo roller skates, just how it just blasted by. And I'll be back with another movie next week, and I hope you'll join me. And I think I'm getting better at this. Again, having to combat dry mouth a bit. If you can hear my teeth sticking to my lips, it's just because I'm not used to talking this much. I have to remember to rehydrate myself. So thanks for watching with me, and see you later.